Hey guys, Aaron Zagarba here, and today in this video we're going to be going over the top 5 of my most favorite cameras we have here at the studio. Let's get started. Alright, so this is not really in any particular order. So really I'm just going to go from smallest to largest. So first off we have the Panasonic HMC 150. So this camera came out in 2008. And when I first came to the studio, this was one of the cameras I actually used for my backroom short film. And I've talked about it before. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but basically it's a really nice camera. Even though it's a fairly old camera, it does shoot in HD. It takes SD cards, and of course one of the big things that I really love about it is that it has the capability to have all of its settings and a lot of stuff easily accessible on the side, so you can easily mess around with all the stuff you need, especially when you're doing kind of run and gun style filmmaking. Now it is a heavier camera, but I also think that adds to its advantage, especially when running and gunning. That extra weight makes it real solid and stuff, so if you were to drop this thing, it would be able to take it like a tank. Of course you got this little handle so you can hold it out if you're gonna like walk around with it. And then of course all these camcorders have the capability to zoom in and out with a rack zoom, so that's also a really nice advantage that you can get out of these cameras. And of course this one in particular has a built-in ND filter, which is also really nice. Now another camera I really love is this one right here. This is another Panasonic camera. This is the Panasonic AG DVC 7P. Now it has a bigger brother. This is the Panasonic AG DVC 15P. Now the main reason I brought this other one out, which is technically a 6 of a camera, even though this is a top 5 video, but I'm adding this in here for just context essentially. This is the more entry-level version of this. Now I have used this a little bit more. This one's a little bit more heavier, and it's actually or at least supposedly supposed to be a little bit more better in terms of quality. So this is technically the step up from this. So it also not only gives you access to video, the analog video in and out, and audio left and right channels, but you also have the ability to do XLR inputs as well. And of course if you look carefully at some of the designs of the camera, it looks a little different. Not too much, but of course the LCD screen is, in my opinion, one of the most obvious. You can tell just by looking at it, it's just a little bit different. The LCD screen on this one's a little thicker, but yeah, really nice camera. I love it. Of course, since it's a mini DV camera, you get that really interesting early 2000s, late 90s kind of look. And of course, when you charge one of these batteries, they can run you a really good long time. Now of course, for most modern stuff that I'd be filming today, I probably wouldn't use this, but if I was doing something that was specifically themed to look a certain way and to look kind of analog and a little bit older, this would definitely be one of the cameras I would heavily consider. Now another camera that we have, another Panasonic. This is the Panasonic AG-AC7P. Now, you may be wondering, hold on, these two cameras look extremely similar, and that's because they are. This is literally the step up from this camera and this camera. So basically, you first have these two. So this is the entry-level version right here, and then you got the one that's basically the step up. And as far as I know, I'm pretty sure there's multiple more generations similar to these before they started going digital, but this is one of the digital versions. So this camera shoots in full HD 1920 by 1080, and that's the big thing this camera advertised for. So similar to the HMC 150, now they're very different in the actual size and how you would kind of hold them, but very similar ideas is that these are kind of like prosumer kind of grade cameras. Now I feel like this one is definitely more on the professional level compared to this one, but they're definitely both kind of more prosumer level cameras. This one just, in my opinion, has a whole lot more options. But, of course, this camera kind of came out in that time once again where SD cards are kind of coming out as a new thing and now are becoming more readily available, and HD, full HD, is becoming a thing. Of course, it's a shoulder-mounted camera, so you put it on your shoulder, shoots full HD, nice little camera. I actually considered using this camera for the Backrooms movie that I made, but I never did. I just preferred the look of this and the feel of the 150 compared to the 7P. Now moving on to the next one. This is the only VHS camcorder in my collection. This is actually my camera, so it's technically not the studio's, but all these other cameras are. But I wanted to add it because it's one of my favorite cameras that I have. So this is another Panasonic camera. This is a VHS camera, an SVHS camera. This is the Panasonic 456 UP. So this is a nice camera that we have here, another shoulder-mounted camera, and it takes full-sized VHS tapes. This is another prosumer-level video camera. This camera came out in 1998. So when I got this, I actually got it from a friend, and I have a video about it, so I talk a little bit about that. But basically, I got it from a friend at church, and they had it. They didn't really know what it was. They gave it to me because they knew I was into cameras, so that's basically how I got it. But I tested it out. The only way it only works is you have to plug it directly into a wall outlet, but it is still very interesting nonetheless, and of course I've made some videos with it. I had to do some work to actually get the VHS deck to actually record, but now I got that. The big thing I really want to try to get eventually is find a battery that I can get for this camera so I can take it on the go and actually film things. But yeah, really interesting camera too, because you just got a couple little settings on here, and all that you can kind of mess around with and edit onto the tape. And now we got the final camcorder. This is the biggest and the heaviest. So this is the JVC GY DV500U. Now, this is a very big bulky camera, and it takes mini DV tapes, once again, but, of course, it's at least normally meant to be used as a shoulder-mounted camera. Now, the Digital Media Studio, when it was UCTV19, used these cameras in the actual studio part where they actually did all the announcements and had all the talking heads. So these were actually permanently set up on basically dollies so they could be moved all around the studio. But the original intent for a camera like this is to be mounted onto a shoulder and used by, of course, a news cameraman. So this is the most, at least in terms of the professional gradeness of each camera, this is at the very top, because this is the most complicated out of all of them, at least in terms of all the buttons and stuff that you have on it. And of course, obviously, for its target audience would have been people that were more in the more higher end range for professional videography. So you got XLR inputs on here. Now you got a built-in microphone that you can attach to this. You also got the little viewfinder right here, which is the only way to actually look at what you're capturing. Of course, also with this, you have this little handle right here, which can be handy when you're walking around and you don't want to have it on your shoulder. Now, of course, you also get this little, you also have the little grip right here, so you can zoom in and out. Now, once again, this camera, a problem that it has, similar to this one actually, which is kind of weird to think about, the only way I've been able to power this camera is via plugging it directly into the wall. And right now I do not have the power cable. I used to have it somewhere around the studio, but at some point we lost it and I cannot seem to find it. So for right now, this camera is out of commission. But you do have XLR inputs on the back. You got some controls for audio levels and stuff like that. Of course, you got a lot of options with your gain, VTR, all this kind of stuff. Of course, you got the power switch on and off, all that kind of stuff, and you can switch on whether or not you want to take the lens off and different settings, all that kind of stuff. Of course, you can manually focus it as well. But of course, this camera was mainly used in the actual studio itself. But I have used it for making videos before. Now, what I did though was I had this connected directly to a video switcher, so I was not recording directly onto it, but I have used it before. And once again, it's a really interesting camera because it's just a massive, huge, heavy, bulky camera that the college used for a while for when we had our television station. So it's very interesting to see. But yeah, those are my technically top 5 cameras that we have here at the studio. All of them are very interesting. I went into very, very basic information about each one of these. I didn't want to go into too much depth because every single one of these cameras kind of has their own story and development history and all that. So yeah, that's for another video. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Got to see some of the insights of some of the cameras we have here at the studio. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.